Welcome back to Melon Crest New Horizons. I'm Leah Darling, and should we see what's going on a lovely island of Fawnhallow today, as we all just sort of be vibing out as per usual. I haven't really done anything particularly interesting today. I did a little bit of drawing, that sort of thing. I did a lot about reading, about taxation, I suppose, in the UK, and that sort of thing. That's not really interesting to talk about, so I'm not going to talk about it. Also, I'm not an expert about that sort of thing. If you want to get back sources from for information, you should probably, just check the UK websites and that sort of thing. I guess the thing I could talk about is Wordle, Scrabble. Wordle is not exactly a thing I'm doing. I don't do the daily Wordle really. I do daily crosswords on dictionary.com instead, which I think are the universal crosswords. I can't remember, but we'll get into that in a second. Hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, it's 5:39 PM on Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. And we know that CJ is visiting today, so we'll let him go about his business. I think we have some fish we can give him. I honestly can't remember, but we probably should. But yeah, Wordle, if you don't know what Wordle is, it's basically that old kids toy. What's it called? The one where you put the colour of Mastermind. That's it. You put colour pegs in. You put 5 colour pegs in, and then the person who set the combination will can tell you how many of them are colours which are in the correct place and how many of them are colours which appear in the code but are not in the correct place. Essentially, Wordle is basically exactly the same thing as that, except for you are now using words instead of coloured pegs, which honestly is kind of cool. I don't have anything particularly against Wordle. I know there's Wordle was super popular for a bit, and then it got too popular, and now people are just oh, I'm sick of it again. I'm kind of indifferent either way. I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to things like this. I think it's a cool concept. I'm sure it's a concept that's been around for ages. As everyone knows, anything, no idea is new. It's very difficult to get true new ideas, but sometimes some implementation of it will just be the one which randomly takes off. And there was no really rhyme and reason to it. Why? I don't know if Wordle, for some reason, got more popular because whatever. But anyway. Yeah, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because Free Blue One Brown, which is a very, very awesome maths YouTuber who often break down a lot of maths and things behind certain things. They've done some of my favourite videos about maths, including one about it wasn't the senior maths challenge, it was a different UK maths challenge. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's got a name, but it's very interesting. What was it? I forgot where I was going with this. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, he released a video about Wordle and, trying to find out the most optimal method. Basically what words to put in and what sort of order, what information you get from it would be the most optimum way to play Wordle if you really wanted to sort of optimize the heck out of Wordle, which, most people don't. It's kind of not really in the fun of it, but I think it's a very interesting watch in of itself. And I suppose part of it is especially more interesting due to the fact that I studied a reasonable amount of information theory in university, so it was talking on terms which I can understand. It's not things with I don't know, algebraic geometry or something where I'm just I don't really understand what's going on, but I can sort of follow along because I have some understanding of mathsy things of information theory. I was oh yeah, I remember this sort of things. It's been a while since I've had to really think about it all that much, but it's a very familiar concept to me. I know it's a very interesting video. You should definitely go watch it if you're at all interested in that sort of thing, or even if you're not that interested, maybe give it a shot anyway. I would highly recommend his videos. Actually, I don't know if he's a team or anything, but he breaks down quite complicated mathematical concepts into much simpler terms for most people to understand, hopefully. I don't know if we need that one on the right. I don't think we do. This one on the left is definitely legitimate because it's so small. Let me see what one on the right is called. I'll cross-check it with my... Oh, that one's fake anyway. Rockhead statue. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure we don't need a Rockhead statue. I think ones we need Nefertiti, Rosetta Stone, and the dog one, right? Anyway, yeah, so, I've done a couple of Wordles, it's not the most gripping thing for me, personally. Okay, I shouldn't say it's the most gripping thing, because I understand why it's cool. It is fun, just to do a little thing, just a little brain tease, I suppose, each and every day. But I've already got my sort of daily brain tease. I already do the dictionary.com. Crosswords, otherwise known as the universal crosswords. I think they might be hosted on a different site, but I don't know. I just go to dictionary.com because that's where I first found out about them, and that's the one I like the interface of the most. So, and it's also not nearly as difficult as New York Times ones, or I know Washington Post. Do they have one? I honestly can't remember. that is my sort of daily brain teaser, but I certainly understand the appeal of Wordle, and I'm sure a lot of a big appeal of Wordle would not. Sorry, let me think how to phrase this. Wordle would not be nearly as popular if it weren't for very specific things about Wordle, and that namely is the fact that it's the social element, I think, in Wordle. Because I first heard about it, I can't even remember when it came out, like a month or two ago. There's a load of people just posting like green and yellow squares on my Twitter feed, and I was just like, I don't really understand what the heck is this. It seems very confusing to me until I, found out what it was. I was like, oh, this, thing called Wordle, and I checked it out, and I had a little bit of fun of it. I was like, oh, that was a nice little thing. But I think that's actually quite a key point in Wordle for what propels it to be so popular, is the fact it's a universal, not universal is perhaps a bit grand, a global constant for everyone. Playing Wordle, everyone has the same word each day, so every time there's a rather difficult word which comes up, people are going to have the same sort of struggle, be like, oof, today's a bit of a tough one, or we'll be like, oh, I already got through this one because I got a really lucky guess, or oh, saved it at the end. Or if it's a really easy one, some people might just be like, oh, I just accidentally guessed the word first right or something. There's a bit of a social element when it comes to that. With that aspect, where people can now sort of discuss like what happened in their ones, someone was like, oh, I guessed 3 words and none of the letters were helpful clues for me at all until the 4th word, where I just got like 4 of the letters on and 1, or something like that, That sort of social element is really what I think propels a lot of games to really have a sort of longevity that they do, I'd imagine. I mean, I think it's a bit premature, I suppose, talking about longevity of Wordle, seeing as it's only been out for like a couple of months, I'd imagine, but it certainly seems like a very nice distraction, and I believe it's been bought now by the New York Times. It certainly seems like something which would take place on like a... well, I was going to say in a newspaper. You can't really do it in a newspaper, I suppose, but like on an online newspaper or something on a website, It certainly seems... It seems like it perfectly fits with the daily crossword next to the daily Sudoku and the daily killer Sudoku. I can't think of what other ones there are, and that sort of thing. It just feels like a newspaper sort of puzzle, with the obvious caveat that you can't actually put it in a newspaper because you need something to actually give sort of instantaneous feedback, right? And, I'd imagine crosswords probably had a similar sort of thing when they were first released in newspapers. Phoebe, you are thinking you probably want to leave, so I will be like, no! aka ignoring. We're actually running out of fish to give CJ. I didn't realise this. I didn't realise we didn't have 3 football fish. I thought we had 3. We already got 2, so I should have probably kept that in mind before I sold them. But anyway, what was I going to say? I honestly can't remember. I honestly can't recall. What was I going to say? Yeah, it feels like it's rather fitting for that sort of situation. Oh yeah, the social element. I was going to expand more on it. Yeah, when crosswords are first released, I'd imagine newspapers. I'd imagine if people just, read a daily newspaper, you get people like work colleagues sort of chatting and be like, oh, did you try the crossword today? And we'd be like, oh yeah, it was really quite a tough one today, wasn't it? It's like, oh, 6 down really gave me quite a... Took me forever to understand what it was even talking about. That sort of element where everyone can talk about something in common. It's really, humans are very social animals. We like to discuss these sort of things, so I think Wordle sort of taps into that. But the thing about Wordle's has a step up over crosswords is Wordle's is extremely accessible. It is extremely understandable. Like, despite the fact you can only do 1 puzzle each day, I suppose. So I suppose the concept that is one downside, is the concept would be more difficult to explain without to someone who literally has no idea what Wordle even is, or any sort of word game, might have difficulty understanding it, perhaps in the first playthrough, and you can only wait until the next day to actually try again. But I think most people will have a reasonable idea of what a word game is kind of like, and the concept is not all too difficult. Wordle itself has an explanation on it, which, they have like an instructions page which is like 3 sentences long, or something with pictures showing you exactly what's going on, and I'm like, fair enough. That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, that's sort of very easy to pick up and relatable. Not relatable, I suppose. Relatable is the wrong word, but easy to access, very accessible. That's the word I wanted. Content, which also has a strong social element, encouraged by the fact that everyone gets the same word and everyone can talk about it, means it is a very good recipe, I think, for virality and that sort of thing. I'm not really sure how Wordle was discovered or something. I'm not sure really the history behind it. I think it was like some university person's project, and then like all the words that were picked out was just like picked out by his girlfriend or something like that. I can't remember. It was delved into a little bit more in the Free Blue One Brown episode. But basically, I think Wordle's, you know, I'm not going to be like, whoa, it's revolutionary or anything. I think it would be a bit much to go that far. And I mean, I didn't like interact with Wordle, be like, whoa, this gameplay is crazy. I'm like, oh, you know, I can see why people like it. Especially, am I going to continue doing it? No, I've done like 3 or 4 in total. Sometimes, you know, when I'm just like on my computer, I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Really done today's crossword. And I'm like, I need like a 5-minute distraction or something. Instead of, you know, like browsing Reddit, browsing Twitter, which honestly, that was from Fawnhallow, please come to our island. Instead of browsing like on social media site, you know, I would just be like, you know, maybe I'll check out the Wordle for today. And I'll do it, and I'll be like, well, that was nice. But I guess the problem with me is Wordle is so small, it's not enough really for me to sink my teeth into. Which is perhaps more how I like to do things, you know. I like to do things for a little set amount of time, you know, 10 minutes minimum if it's a short thing, you know. Like, but even the easiest crosswords I do, it still takes me like at minimum 7 minutes or still to do them. I'm not that much of a crossword expert, mind you. But the crosswords normally take me anywhere from, I'd say I average around 10 to 12 minutes depending on the difficulty, unless it's really difficult. But there was one actually like a couple of days ago, it was really difficult for me. It took me 20 minutes and I had to do it on regular mode because I couldn't get the hints. But sometimes that happens, there's a large variation. Wordle is just so short that it's difficult for me to really get it, to really sink my teeth into. But I did discover through the 3 blue 1 brown videos, apparently there's like an, I can't remember what it's like, hard mode Wordle or something, where basically you had to reuse the letters that you got. So like if you said like, my first word, which I always like to use for no apparent reason, it's just one of the first words is like mouse. And if an S appears, and in either yellow or green, every single word you use from then on has to be one which incorporates the yellow or green letter. And I was like, oh, you know, that's a pretty cool spin on it. I'll be honest, I forget to turn it on most times. When I do, I say most times, I've probably done it about 5 times. Wordle is my guess, just to sort of ballpark it. I always forget to turn it on, but that seems like a nice sort of challenge to sort of spice things up again, because, you know, for me personally, I'm not so much into a competitive aspect of Wordle. I'm not so like, I want to see if I can do it in the fewest steps possible. I want to be like, I want to put in the gimmicks which I like to interact with, I suppose. I mean, you can see that when I play games. Actually, no, you can't, because I don't think you've seen that as much, but, you know, for like Cuphead, I was like, oh, I hate doing these run and gun levels. I want to do basically this game with just one power up. That's basically what I did. But things like that, you know, interact with the game exactly how you want to. Oh, nice. Look at all these new recipes we're getting today. What else was I going to say? But, yeah, if you don't know, at the end of the video, 3 blue 1 brown, he tests his algorithm out, I suppose, on a load of different Wordle analogues, I suppose, because when anything hits any sort of level of virality, there'll be like spin-offs, exceptionally, not exceptionally, essentially on it. Oh yeah, we should definitely try and catch a fish. It's snowing, so it might be a sea in the camp. There'll be spin-offs of it made by other people, which is, I'm not knocking on them. I think spin-offs are, you know, a cool way to sort of branch out from things, especially if the base case doesn't really cover it. One of them I thought was really interesting. I forgot what it's called, I'm going to be perfectly honest. But it's a Wordle thing, which basically, it actively tries to take the longest time possible for you to guess a word. So what it does is basically you put a word in and it will try and give you it will basically be like, oh, none of these letters are in it. And then you give another word, it'll be like, none of these letters are in it either. It basically doesn't have a fixed word at its endpoint. It's got a word which can dynamically change, and it will always choose a word to give you the least information possible on every single guess. And I was like, that's a really funny idea. I can't remember what word I got given when I tried it out, but maybe if I go back to it, I can sort of recreate exactly what I did. I might be able to find out again. But you know, that's not really a big deal. I like seeing all these sort of like gimmicky things, all these sort of like interests. Ideas that people have sparked from just playing the initial Wordle. And one of the more interesting ones I found out about is the fact there's a Battle Royale Wordle, which I don't know who created. I only heard about it like tangentially because Northern Line played it. I haven't actually seen Northern Line play it. I've only seen like it talked about on like in relation to him, but what a weird way to phrase it. Like, I seen a clip of it and I was like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. And I gave that a shot and I was like, wow, I'm actually really bad at this. Perhaps, you know, I don't have a sort of efficiency with Wordle that a lot of other people have. You know, they've been playing it for every single day and since whatever day it first came out, and I've just been like, oh, you know, I'm quite a Wordle rookie, I suppose, when it comes to that sort of thing. But I did win one. I had to play like 3 or 4 times, and I got a win, and I was like, yes. There weren't as many people playing it as I thought. It said it was up to 99 players, but there was only like 20 of us playing, which I guess is because it's not like a major, I was gonna say blockbuster release. That's not really the right word. AAA title being released or something. So of course, the online player base is not going to be nearly as ubiquitous. I was also playing in regards to, I suppose, British time, which might not exactly be peak hours, but in any case, it was quite a fun diversion, I suppose, in that sort of aspect. It's interesting to see the sort of diversions that people, not diversions, but sort of sidesteps, the tangents people have when it comes to it. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool thing that they made. I mean, Battle Royale, I feel like, is a very sort of popular subgenre to like cross a lot of different things of, turn this into a Battle Royale, turn that into Battle Royale. I feel like, I guess Wordle is just kind of a next logical step as it comes in terms of virality. Anyway, I know Wordle's a bit old hat nowadays. It's already sort of worn out its welcome, I think, in a lot of aspects. I think a lot, I haven't seen it on my Twitter timeline all that much anymore. But it's interesting. I suppose the social element is also quite nice, the fact that you can very simply represent it in these emoticons, these like square emojis or whatever, these little grids, and it's very understandable if you at least understand what Wordle is. I will say it's not exactly the most telling thing. I don't really look at those squares, even understanding what Wordle is and understanding what clues mean. We should keep this football fish, of course. So I'm going to put it somewhere where I will not forget to keep it. I will put it here. Hopefully I remember. If I don't, whoops. Yeah, even looking at what people put with the context of understanding now what Wordle actually is and what it means, I'm sort of just like, eh. I suppose the information it gives to me is not very enlightening, and I suppose that's part due to the fact that, obviously people don't want to give away what a word is, so they won't say what letters they use. I suppose part of me is more, but maybe that's a bit of a data and like analysing part of me is sort of more interested in being like, oh, I wonder exactly what letters you use. I want to know the psychology behind it, being like, why do people choose certain words? Do most people sort of prefer to use the same sort of like starting words over and over again? Because when I did Wordle, I sort of just, before I settled on using mouse as the first one I used, which I only settled on because I was playing Squabble for Wordle Battle Royale. I needed just basically something to sort of, I needed like a system worked out, and that's the system I worked out. I basically just used whatever word I was thinking of. I just choose a random letter and choose 2 random vowels, and I put in a word incorporating those 2 letters and that vowel. Sorry, those 2 vowels and that letter. I thought that was a fun way to go about it, but other people, probably like playing with sort of Wordle golf sort of thing, where they try and guess things in as few guesses as possible. I will say, I think part of the illusion of it, that golf aspect of trying to get the lowest score possible is kind of ruined after. I'm not saying ruined. I'm not be like, screw you, 3 blue 1 brown, for completely destroying any sort of illusion of I don't know, tacticality, I suppose I had with Wordle, because it's quite difficult, essentially, to get. Basically, you can't get enough information from just 2 guesses, which means that 3 guesses is basically the only sort of minimum guess amount you can have without it basically being complete lucky chance. Essentially, and part of me was just like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense, but still. I would say, I suppose, a deficit that Wordle has certainly is that it's not very expandable to much larger words. Like, obviously you can do larger words, like I think 6 would be completely fine. I think 7 would be okay at a push, but 5 is really sort of like the perfect number, because 4 and 3 are definitely like far too little to really have any sort of substance behind it, like a not really good balance of like skill and sort of luck, I suppose, involved. But 6 and 7 is where it starts getting a bit iffy, because 6 isn't too bad to work with, but 7 is certainly, it's a bit more difficult to think of 7 long words, I suppose, off the top of the head. Like the lexicon that people have, like, of longer words, obviously gets smaller and smaller the longer word gets. I feel like, because it just makes sense. But 7 is certainly one where I'd be like, I don't really know how to work with 7. What sort of, what word can I think of with that has 7 things, 7 letters off the top of my head? I don't know. Premium, I guess. But that's not a good one, because it's got double letters, and I suppose that's another thing. You obviously don't want to try and repeat letters all that often to try and get more information about what possible letters can be in there. Have we found who was crafting? We have found who was crafting. It was Raymond who was crafting, wasn't he? So yeah, obviously your preference is to not have repeated letters. In fact, it becomes quite difficult when you get into longer words. But obviously, Wordle is not going to translate well to like 10 letters long, where, you know, Mastermind would, at least. It would be rather confusing, and I think 10 would, you'd certainly argue from like sort of game design perspective, is not a good amount, because that's far too many things for your average person to really keep track of and try combinations with. But still, I don't know where I was going with this. Oh wait, we need one more fossil. Change your mind, sorry. I need to go get another fossil first. I thought we had 3, but we'll go and Brewster and we'll have a little bit of coffee. And while I drink my coffee, I'm going to have a drink of water instead. In real life, because my mouth is feeling a little bit dehydrated. Probably to just do with the constant talking I've been doing. I don't really know what else to say about Wordle, I suppose. Is there really much to say? I mean, it's a simple game. There's not really much to sort of analyse in the first place. I wonder if it's the sort of thing which people, you know, just like things like Flappy Bird, other things which had like simple games which also had a similar sense of virality. Oh, you know, we'll talk about that in a second. Sorry, sip of water. Any other thing which has a sense of virality, at some point people are going to try to make like a bigger, grandiose version of it, I'd imagine. I can totally see, like, in a couple of months' time, someone making, like, a Steam release or something for, like, not called Wordle, but something similar to Wordle. There's something called, like, Vocab Express. I don't know why I called it that. Vocab Express is, like, this old modern foreign language school learning site, which I used back in secondary school. But it's called, I don't know, Vocab Attack or something like that. Any game devs out there, you can use that one for free, of course. Which is basically like Wordle, but basically with gimmicks. Like you'll have like a campaign mode where basically you do Wordle sort of things on longer and longer words or whatever. I mean, you have like a blitz mode where you basically have to do as many of these Wordle things as fast as possible to try and get a high score as possible. We really need another fossil. Where's another fossil? Ute, papa, ute. Sorry, it's got absolutely nothing to do with Wordle. It's just a song that was in my mind, apparently. Yeah, and I'm trying to think. You can have like some sort of gimmick mode. You can have like a 1v1 mode, and where you're both trying to do like as many Wordle words as possible. But sometimes when you get words, you can send like power-ups. You get power-ups which inhibit the other player or whatever. You know, like scramble their letters or input a different word from what they wanted, etc., etc. You know. You can have like a marathon mode where you have like a set amount of, I don't know, lives, and you get decreasingly fewer guesses the longer and longer you go on, or something. I don't know. But the problem is, the numbers you're working with Wordle are actually quite large. It's kind of hard to like increment them on a smaller scale. You know, the difference between having 6 guesses for a word and 5 guesses for a word is pretty significant, actually. Actually, no, I think 5 and 6 isn't that significant, but 5 and 4 is really significant, and 4 and 3 is like deadly, I would say. And 3 and 2 is just absurd. But still, it's, yeah. I don't really know where I was going with this. But it's a sort of thing where it's just like, yeah, I can totally see some sort of Steam release, maybe like an itch.io release of basically someone trying to expand about it. I mean, I guess you could say Squabble basically is kind of like expanding upon it. In the first place, it's, you know, being made into a battle royale. Or has been made into a battle royale. I don't know if it's still got a popularity now, but, you know, it's a very interesting project of whoever made it into the first place. What do I need to do? I need to sell some things. What insect is this? Centipede? That's quite an annoying one to catch, so I don't think I'll do that. Maybe we already have a football fish statue. No, it doesn't look like it. I don't know. I'm just surprised we didn't have a football fish thing already. But yeah, I suppose if you're enjoying Wordle, please do continue to enjoy Wordle. I'm surprised does it have a phone app? It should absolutely have a phone app. That seems like a perfect thing to just, you know, pop open your phone, do the daily Wordle, and, you know, get on about your business, you know, just on your commute or something like that. so it's just something along those lines, where you can just sort of, you know, waste a little, not waste, but like spend a little bit of your time doing whatever you really want in that sort of aspect. I wonder if we should sell the gyroids. We really don't need all these mini gyroids, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Let's start with gyroids. We'll keep the other fossils, of course, because I need to keep them to give presents out to pecan in the future. You might say, hey, we don't need nearly this number of presents, but you know, you never know. I'm sure in 5 days' time I'll be like, wow, why didn't I wrap more presents? Why wasn't my entire inventory presents? But yeah, I think we'll round off this episode here. Wordle-wise or that sort of thing. I guess, you know, I have no qualms with it. Getting the popularity is getting that sort of thing. I have no sway either way of, like, do I hate Wordle? Of course not. Do I love it? I'm like, it's not ready for me, I suppose, but I can certainly see the appeal of it, and I understand why it's done so well. I mean, sometimes when it comes to virality, it literally is just luck, isn't it? You just sort of like, you were your right place, right time, right people discovered it, boom. That's all you needed. But anyway, I'm going to round off this episode here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join my Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.